Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
So teleological or consequential ethics. See, this is also known as what is called teleological, teleos, purpose. Teleological ethics. In God-based ethics, what is moral? That which God says is moral is moral. What is moral? That which God says is moral is moral. In consequential ethics, what is moral? That which has good outcomes. Okay? Here, morality of an action is dependent on outcomes. Morality of an action depends on the outcomes or the depends on consequences or the outcomes. है ना? All right. Better the outcome. Better the outcome. More moral is the action. More moral is the action. Right? Better the outcome, more moral is the action. You know. So if you see in this, what is more important? Means is not important. Means is not important. What is important is ends. Ends are important. They are important. Means are not important, but ends are important. Right? This is what they say. What is the reason why consequentialist approach at first? What should let us, we have to take a decision with respect to the class. You will say that, sir, the best way is to see if it will benefit the whole class. Though there will be some minority students who will say that, sir, I will not benefit from it. But broadly, what will be the general your perception will be? You will say, sir, you do what is going to be beneficial for the maximum number of students, right? So therefore, one of the reasons why this is adopted is because it is commonsensical. It is commonsensical. If I bring something that is very good, but maybe only 2 or 3 of you benefit from it, then you will say, sir, while it may benefit 2 or 3 people greatly, others are not going to be benefited for it. Therefore, what you are suggesting is not the best or not the most moral thing to do. Not the best or not the most moral thing to do. So therefore, one reason for its popularity, it's a popular one. Why? Is because it is commonsensical. Commonsensical approach होता है ना? Let us imagine a situation. All right, let us imagine a situation that there are a very classical situation that there is a drunken alcoholic who has been just admitted to the hospital undergoing certain treatment. And in the same hospital, there are 3 Nobel laureates. And in the same hospital, there are 3 Nobel laureates. So these 3 Nobel laureates, they have made meaningful contribution to humanity. They have made meaningful contribution to humanity. One of them needs a liver, the other one needs a kidney, and the third one needs a heart. You are a doctor. And for this case, imagine that you are a cardiosurgeon, a liver specialist, and a kidney specialist also. Or let us say there are 3 doctors. You are the hostel. Yeah, then if you are all the 3 specialists, then you are either God or you are still not caught by the police. सर पे इनाम है. मुल्कों की तो नहीं, लेकिन 3-4 स्टेट की पुलिस जरूर ढूंढ रही है. interstate racket चला रहे हो, right? Now a lot of you will see that there is this drunken man. He has been rehabilitated so many times, but ये मानता नहीं है, right? And he is again drunk and he is admitted to the hospital. By evening he will be discharged after some fluids will be given to him. All right. Some people will suggest that this is a right time where these 3 Nobel laureates can be saved, right? Now, because this person who is a drunken alcoholic, a troublemaker, has not made so far any meaningful contribution to society, and is also not likely to make any meaningful contribution to society. There is a proposition that his organs may be donated to the Nobel laureates. These Nobel laureates have proven their contribution to humanity, and if they live long enough, then they can make further contribution. How many of you, what would you then think that it is moral to sacrifice the organs of this? ये अतरंगी जवाब दिया तुमने कि एक नोबेल लॉरिएट को गिरा देते हैं और बाकी 2 को बचा लेते हैं. तो इसको मैं शराब मुफ्त का पिला के यहाँ पर लाया क्यों? हाँ, पैसे गए मेरे. इसको मैं यहाँ लेकर आया हूँ किसी पर्पस के लिए ना. अब इस केस में जवाब दो. हाँ बोलो. डू वी हैव द ड्रंक मैन्स कंसेंट? दे नहीं पाएगा वो, ठीक है, but yes. But would it be fair? But is there some of you think that it is moral? Now, if you see from this perspective, a lot of people may think, and if you are a person who has been in charge for running the state or the hospital administration, don't think from your perspective, you think from the person who has to run the hospital administration. He's been frantically looking for an organ donor, right? That is the situation. He's been frantically looking for an organ donor. How is there any even 1% legitimacy or morality in taking these organs from this one person and letting the Nobel laureates live? Okay, fine. What is your reasoning for it? Bolo? What is your reason that why would you not take the organs of this drunken alcoholic and transfer it to the Nobel laureates? I would have taken the organs and given it to the Nobel laureates, yes? Yes, so he says that it has while it may save 3 Nobel laureates, and in itself the act may be, if not completely immoral, then it may be in the moral gray area. It may be, so there is, when we say moral gray area, you understand that it is neither white or nor black. It is somewhere in between when I use the word morally gray area, which means that it is neither white, it's completely moral, it's neither black, which means it is completely immoral. And then we say use the words gray for it. Okay? So it's moral gray area कहते हैं इसको, है ना? So he's saying that one of the arguments, yes, I'll come to you, that is, one of the arguments is that, I'll come to you, is that it will lead to some sort of a totalitarian state where the rights of few will be compromised in the name of benefit of many people. Fair enough. All right. Yes? So the person has an individual right to life. What sort of right is this? Is it in DPSP or is it in fundamental right? Fundamental right. Therefore, fundamental rights are इंडिविजुअल राइट्स. एंट्रेंस टेस्ट में क्वेश्चन बनेगा इस पे, गलत मत करना इस क्लास के बच्चे तो कम से कम, ठीक है? इसमें भी गलत करते हैं, ठीक है? यस, एनीबडी एल्स? हाँ, so this is what Satre would do, ठीक है? This is what he said, that this is typical example of avoiding responsibility. This is a typical case of avoiding responsibility where you say that it is my job to do the surgery. I do not have, but here it's not the surgery, it's the decision-making role that you have to play. Yes. The very classical argument of Locke would be that the state or you cannot take what you cannot have, you do not have the power or the right to give. That is the argument that is used for capital punishment also, right? Huh. It will send a bad precedence for the society. Anyway, but if you see, now just think of it. Now let us turn the situation. Let us take another example. The people of Delhi need electricity because it's too hot in the summer and too cold in the winters. This electricity can be provided to our people if certain areas in Chhattisgarh where there is dense forest, it is deforested and given to Coal India Limited, which is not very efficient in coal extraction, but still it is given to Coal India Limited. And it is supposed to extract coal and can provide the additional coal or fossil fuels that is needed to produce this electricity and meet Delhi's demands so that people of Delhi can live comfortably. Right? There are a few lakhs people, tens of lakhs, millions of people living in Delhi will be benefited from this coal extraction. But when people go to extract or go to these areas for mining, they see several challenges. One is that thousands of trees need to be cut. That is one problem. So fine, that's the second challenge is that tree supports its own ecosystem. And therefore, there are a lot of animals and species. Because of habitat loss, they will face extinction. And third is, there are a few hundred tribals, traditional forest dwellers living in that forest. Right? While there are only a few hundred people there, and here the people who are likely to benefit the number is in millions. In such a case, the country also needs to showcase itself as a powerful nation. A nation can only be powerful. One of the ways how nation can demonstrate its prosperity is through a prosperous capital. Right? It's through a prosperous capital. So you will see, if you ever travel from here to Gurgaon, you will see that they have erected barricades on both sides of the road so that if a foreign dignitary is coming from the airport to meet Indian leaders, he will never see what is beyond the roads, where there are certain shabby settlements or sometimes there are slums. So those barricades or their high-rise steel plates have been kept there so that you cannot see. Why? To demonstrate that there is nothing wrong in the... That is often done. Whenever an American president will come, you will see that in Delhi, all major places, they will hide the side underbelly of the city. All right, common practice. So millions are likely to benefit from this displacement or of few. It is also important for national growth. In such a case, what will be your position? You have to take a rational view. You do not just have to take a ethics ke point of view, say, acha answer bhi bol diya. You have to take a rational view. Will you go for deforestation and open mining in Chhattisgarh for the sake of providing electricity to millions of people? How many say yes? Very good. Don't be nirdaliya, okay? Be a part of either group. Don't be persons who abhi immediately nahi socha hai, ghar jaakar sochenge is pe. Hai na? And how many of you think that it is not moral? All right. You think it is not moral to... Why? What is your reason? Then how will the nation grow? Acha, haan. Behind you, haan. बाद के लिए क्या? वो भी कम होंगे तो फिर आगे और what is your logic, बच्चा? The lady? All right. हाँ. Anybody else? हाँ, बोलिए. But then that is not an exact line of thinking. Why I'm saying is, then you are questioning the basic economic system. Then you are simply questioning the basic economic system, that this economic system is based on economic consumption and expansion, and how long will we consume. That is not a correct line of thinking. We can consume infinitely. There will be enough scientific progress that will reduce the inputs that are needed for the consumption. See, we are not a lot worried about doomsday on Earth. We are not too much worried about what will happen if people start consuming a lot. That much technological progress man has made that he will be able to ensure that future problems will be invented, solutions will be invented by us. They will lead to other problems, but then we will find their solutions in the future. So that's not the line of thinking. Ha, bolo. Yes, all right. So there, ha, bolo. So population will increase. How long will you keep exploring for coal? So therefore, this is what the West is saying to India. We are saying that phase down and not phase out. Pad rahe ho paper? Nobody is reading newspaper in this class. Huh? All right. Okay, so those are the choices. See, why we adopt consequentialist as an approach. Okay, consequentialist as an approach is adopted because it is commonsensical. Secondly, the good thing with it is that it is not having any, it lacks rigid moral principles. कोई rigid moral principles नहीं है इसमें. आगे करेंगे अभी और दूसरे अप्रोचेस से देखेंगे. मैं नोबल लॉरिएट हूं उस केस में, इसलिए आंसर नहीं दिया. डॉक्टर तुम हो. ठीक है. अनदर इज दैट, see, once there are no rigid moral principles, right? Once there are no, see, half of you are saying that I will, why so many people are not able to decide in the doctor's case? Because all of you are coming with a purvagrah or a prejudice that taking away someone's life is not good. Right? That is a pre-bias or pre-existing belief or pre-existing moral rule that you think you are bound by. Yes, that is a line. So we will see the benefits of it. There is not, it is not a black and white question that drunken tramp versus Nobel laureates. What if that Nobel laureate is in the field of medicine? In the field of medicine, where he's discovering a drug that can reverse alcoholism. Right? So while that alcoholic drunkard may be sacrificed, but others like him may be saved. So therefore, it is, yes, ठीक है, हाँ. So you are saying that this is not for the doctors to decide, this is for the drunken alcoholic to decide. And his family to decide. Yes, fairly, we will reach those conclusions, but there can be more right answer than that. That person has no family, that person may eventually die. The drunken alcoholic, what if he has only 48 hours to live? His condition is deteriorating. But if we harvest his organs in time, then we can save the life of, then does your position change? Because he only has, your position changes immediately. All right, so in ethics, I taught you long back that ethics often does not provide you one single answer. It may provide you many answers, but because you are informed of all the choices, that ye bhi ho sakta, these are the moral principles that are applicable, it helps you exercise what is called free will. And therefore, you will be held responsible for whatever choice you make. All right? So if you see, anyway, half of you are not able to make a decision, all right, is not able to make a decision because you think that there are rigid moral rules at play. In an consequentialist approach to ethics, the benefit is that there are no rigid rules. And therefore, once there are no rigid rules, see, morality is not easy for everyone. Morality is not easy. You may preach that do not steal. Now, because if you have enough to get by and have 2 meals, you may preach that. But what if you tell a man who's looking to steal bread, saying that you must not steal under any circumstance? What if you talk about a man who has a ailing mother, an ailing family which needs medicine, and you are asking him not to steal or rob? while robbing or stealing may itself be bad in itself. But do you not see that there could be certain circumstances or a person who is in dire need of money for buying medicines for his ailing mother? And if he discovers, you see a wallet, and suddenly you see that another man also sees the wallet. You open a wallet and you see a lot of money kept there. You broadly believe that because this wallet does not legally belong to you, therefore you must return it to the person to whom it belongs. If you cannot locate that person, then you deposit it with the state. Then this another person who has also seen this wallet, and he says to you that while this wallet does not belong to me, I think that I can benefit from this money because I have an ailing mother who needs medicine, and I will use that money to buy medicines for my mother. Would you give it? Hana? You are suspicious that if you do not locate who the purse belongs to because it carries no name or ID card, if you give it to the state, the money will anyway be not well used. The money may at all be well used. In such a situation, will you give it to that person? You will give it to that person. Your reason is, see, how many of you will not give in to that person? Anybody who will not give it to that person? सब दे देंगे? कुछ अपने पास तो रखेंगे? आधा आधा? Depend karta. Now that is a separate question. We'll go by what is there in the case. See, in such a case, what happens is that, see, rigid principles of morality, they are not easy for everyone to follow. And rigid principles of any rigid rules, forget moral rules, any rigid rules is not within the reach of everyone. Not everyone can practice it. So therefore, the minute we have rigid rules in anything, it puts it beyond the reach of a lot of people. And so when you have consequentialist approach to ethics, then morality becomes within the reach of everyone. Why? Because there is no rigid rule, right? It makes morality within reach of everyone. Yes. How do I? Because teleological ethics believes that outcome is good, that moral choice is good where the outcomes are better. It does not believe in rigid moral rules. That is what it is. Huh. Utilitarianism is a school or a sub-branch of consequentialism. Utilitarianism is a sub-branch of... Let us proceed also. आगे बढ़ते हैं, उसके बाद we'll take some questions. You will understand this better in deontological. अभी करेंगे इसको, but अभी ये बस लिख लो. है ना? So there are several approaches to consequence. For example, there is welfareism. Welfareism, what is the maximizing? Maximizing socio-economic So the people who are talking of freebies, what do they say? The people who are talking of freebies, giving freebies to voters, what do they say? They said that this is moral. Why? It is welfareism. If I provide free transport, free DTC tickets to women, then it will lead to better women mobility outside the household. It may further increase labor participation of women in the economy. So therefore, overall socio-economic well-being of the people will increase, and therefore, freebies or such freebies are moral. Do you see that? Then you have utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is where utilitarian talks about maximizing happiness. Yes. Maximizing happiness. For whom? The largest number of people. Happiness of largest number of people and reducing unhappiness. You know, utilitarianism, maximizing happiness for the largest number of people. है ना? So in Indian politics, if you see, there is the concept of, yes. So a lot of people feel that while in the society, everyone cannot be made happy, right? Everyone cannot be made happy. Do you broadly agree to this? That everyone सारे खुश तो नहीं हो सकते हैं. So from this ideology, there is one ideology is, which is a Samajwadi ideology sometimes, is Sarvjan Hitaya Sarvjan Sukhaya. है ना? Everyone's welfare and everyone's happiness. Some people do not believe in this. They believe that it is not possible for everyone to be happy. So therefore, the political ideology born out of a second slogan, that is Bahujan Hitaya, Bahujan Sukhaya. The welfare of many people and the happiness of many people. This would lead to, you see the name, the Bahujan Samajwadi Party. They are very clear that everyone, Sarvajan Samajwad may not be possible. What is possible is Bahujan, or many people's welfare is possible, many people's happiness is possible. Sarvajan is probably not possible. They will always, whatever you do, there will always be some people who will not be happy. है ना? कुछ बच्चे हमेशा क्लास में दुखी रहते हैं, है ना? बाकी हंस रहे हैं तो दुखी हैं, right? All right. Then there is hedonism. What is hedonism? Here, maximizing happiness. Here, hedonism is maximizing pleasure. And not just pleasure. Hedonism is about, yes, sensuous pleasure. That which is sensuous pleasure, that which is derived from the five senses. Material. है ना? So hedonism in India, the Charvaka school promotes what? It promotes hedonism. That what is most important? What should be the thing that humans should chase? They should chase pleasure. What sort of pleasure? Not some heavenly pleasure, but pure sensuous bodily pleasure is what they, है ना? So therefore, the prime philosophy of Charvaka will be ऋण लो घी पियो, है ना? दोस्तों से उधार लो और फिर करीम्स चले जाओ, right? They will continuously, they will believe that all five sense organs must be satisfied all the time, right? लोन ले लो और एसी खूब चलाओ 18 डिग्री पर और रजाई ओढ़कर सो, है ना? So they will always, this is Charvaka philosophy, hedonism, right? These are some, है ना? So these are certain approaches maximizing pleasure. Yes, these are subsets of consequentialism. All right? If you see, consequentialism, though commonsensical, consequentialism is commonsensical, it is easy. And in fact, why it is so easily, readily adopted is because this is how we generally make decisions in life. How do you make decisions in life? Generally through a consequentialist approach, right? When you are in a group and you have to take a decision, how do you make that decision? You will see that most people in the group are happy with that decision. That is how. So it's commonsensical approach. Because you do not have an overarching moral rule, therefore it is also a lot flexible. It is also a lot flexible because there is no fixed moral rule that is going to guide you, isn't it? There are also certain challenges with it. What are the challenges? There are several challenges. First is that outcomes are not easy to determine, easy to predict. You are saying that maximum happiness for maximum people, that is the outcome, right? Outcomes are not easy to predict. What you intended as some outcome and something else may be the outcome, right? When we looked for growing our nation, we felt that to grow our nation, we will need energy. And if we are going to have that energy, our economy will be stimulated. That economic growth will lead to economic prosperity. If we have economic prosperity, then what will happen? People will be happier. Their standards of life will be better. And therefore, you went for a what is called a carbon-based energy solution, burning fossil fuels. That fossil fuels over a long period of time has led to its own consequences. A lot of people today may argue that it has done more harm to the planet than it has done good. For one, even if it solved the energy crisis, it has led to creation of inequalities. It has led to the creation of inequalities in society. Today, environmental pollution, degradation, climate change and global warming are traced to this carbon consumption strategy of ours. So therefore, what may happen is, outcomes are not often easy to predict. You took a decision basing your choices on outcomes. So as a medical practitioner or as a hospital administrator, you decided that finally this Nobel laureates, they should not be saved from this drunken alcoholic. And in a few hours, you felt because it was not morally right or whatever, or you probably thought that let me take away the organs of this drunken alcoholic and give it to the Nobel laureates. What was the purpose? You have taken a risk. You may not have the consent of the drunken alcoholic because he has no near and dear ones. What may happen is you may have extracted the organs, but out of the 3 Nobel laureates, 2 of them, their bodies did not accept the organs. Now you have one dead person whose consent you did not have for organ transplant, and you also have 2 dead Nobel laureates in your hospital. Will the world forgive you? Not, because one, they will not hold you culpable so much for the death of the Nobel laureates, as the world will say that you let cause the death of an innocent man whose consent was not taken for harvesting organs. Big problem. Nobody can criticize you for that because that could be an error. That could be not an intended, it was not a free choice. The death of the Nobel laureates was not in your hands. But what was in your hands? The life of the drunken alcoholic. So therefore, will you be held culpable for it or not? So therefore, outcomes are often difficult to predict. You have 4 alive people, and with the end of your because you felt that you were running short of time. You took certain decision, and now you have only 1 alive people and 3 dead people in your hospital. Big problem. Right? There is a problem of intended outcome. Outcome versus, actual outcome. As a secretary, you passed the decision as an environmental secretary. You passed the decision for deforestation of that forest in Chhattisgarh so that electricity could be generated. Now, you took that decision, you felt that this risk is worth taking. Why? Because within 2 years, Delhi will have a good supply of electricity and people will be happier. But what happened is, while you gave away the forest, Coal India Limited deforested the area. CRPF was sent and tribals, traditional forest dwellers, were evacuated from their traditional houses. But after that, Coal India Limited did not have the capacity to extract coal or undertake mining there. Therefore, the project has still not led to coal extraction and energy generation. 2 years later, you start sitting in your office, having caused the destruction of a vibrant forest, having caused the exodus of innocent forest, traditional forest dwellers, and the people of Delhi are still not happy. Right? You intended something with which you take the decision, and now the outcomes are not the same. Big problem, isn't it? So that's another challenge. Then another challenge in this approach is, in the consequentialist approaches, what should be measured? what should be measured? What should we measure? Happiness is, है ना? What should we measure will differ from people to people, right? Some people, because happiness is not an objective dimension of our feeling, right? I cannot say how happy you are. You say, sir, I'm happy. I say, अच्छा 10 में बताओ कितना खुश हो. अब difficult है, right? या 100 में कितने खुश हो? You will give a number, but every time, every incident of happiness, every incident of happiness is difficult to quantify it. Right? Why are you happy? I have cleared the prelims. Why are you happy? My whole family is coming to see me. कुछ लोग दुखी भी हो जाएंगे उससे, है कुछ, ठीक है, लेकिन broadly I assume that you are God-fearing students, so ऐसे ही रहोगे जैसा parents चाहते हैं, है ना? So therefore you are happy. I tell them, अच्छा give कितने खुश, किसमें इसमें कितना खुश हो? I'll tell you to ascribe a score or a quantity to it. Difficult to say. The minute you say, sir, I've cleared prelims, I'm happy 90% or 95%. You say, okay, parents are हैं, then you don't know what to say. कम खुश हो या ज़्यादा खुश हो. Right? It's not an object. You cannot measure it. Every incidence of happiness is a unique experience in itself. It's not easy to ascribe a number to it. It's also not easy to measure it. Big problem. So therefore, there is also a challenge. What should be measured? In a deforestation case, what should be measured? Should we measure the extra units of energy that is being generated, which will convert to happiness of the Delhi people? Should we measure the extra generation of electricity? Or should we measure what is the number of people who have been affected versus number of people who have benefited? Right? What should we measure? That is a different problem altogether. In consequences, what should be measured? Should we measure economic growth? Should we measure happiness? Should we measure percentage increase in per capita income? Should we measure, for example, increase in per capita energy production? All these challenges are there. All right. Then there is the distribution problem. Distribution problem. This distribution of happiness. Whose happiness? You are going to say that this deforestation should happen because it will benefit millions of residents of Delhi. But the question is it morally justified on the grounds that Delhi people will be happy, but tribals of Chhattisgarh may not be happy? Therefore, whose happiness is more important? A simple application of the utilitarian principle, maximum happiness for maximum number of people, will say that, sometimes say that every man only has one vote, or every man's happiness is in equal measures. But sometimes, so which means that if 100 people are happy and 20 people are not happy, then net happiness is of 80 people. Basic maths hai. 100 people are happy and 20 people are not happy. So you may say that 80 people are net happy. Right? But sometimes what may happen is, ये जो 100 लोग हैं, उनकी खुशी उतनी नहीं है जितनी expected थी. Right? They are just mildly happy. They are saying कि ठीक है, we have got electricity, but bijli has become expensive. This is a government ploy to extract more money from the people and earn more money and giving it to private sector. So they are not that happy. You have given them electricity. Now there are no power cuts. There is no transformer problem. You ask a Delhi resident that because of you, we destroyed an entire forest in Chhattisgarh. Are you happy? Then what is likely to say? Government big gayi hai. Bijli free mein thodi mil rahi hai, right? So his happiness is, let us say 100 people are happy, but their happiness is mild. And you ask the 20 people who have been displaced, their agony is massive. The government went there, the CAPF went there, said that you need to leave this place. They say, will we get compensation? They say that yes, if you have land and property rights. Why don't you submit your property papers? That traditional forest dweller says that I have been, my tribe has been living here for thousands of years. Which is your land? He says, I have been cultivating here, and next year I will leave it and let it regenerate. And I will cultivate on another piece of land in my neighborhood. Both these lands are mine. In fact, all these lands belong to the community. We can live and build a temporary house anywhere within this community. So the forest department and the administration will ask, if you don't have documents for your land rights, then this land is not yours. He's saying, what is he saying? I'm a traditional forest dweller. I'm a traditional forest dweller. The government is saying, you do not have property rights, you are an encroacher. That is the primary problem in tribal areas. That is the primary Naxalite problem. That is the primary problem of Naxalism. So these 20 people who have been displaced, they have nowhere to go. While they had been living in nature, and happily so, right? They used to hunting and gathering they were not accustomed to wage economy. They are forced to live outside their settlement and come out and work in the city, where they are not able to get jobs because they do not have. So earlier, while they had a good life, now they are forced to do jobs such as puncture banane ka kaam, sometimes cleaning dishes in a small restaurant, right? Big challenges. Their unhappiness is massive. Would you say that it is fair to say that 100 people are happy and 20 people are unhappy, and their happiness and unhappiness is the same? No, it is not. The happiness is mild for those 100 people, and the unhappiness of these 20 is massive. So therefore, 18 net happy people is not a correct answer. All right, so therefore there is a challenge here in the consequentialist approaches, that distribution problem is there. Distribution of happiness is skewed. Whose happiness is important? See, this is a key debate in what is called any land reforms or land acquisition. Any development project. These challenges will be there. If you see distribution problem, whose happiness, then the consequentialist approach does not take care of the fairness of outcomes. Quantity of outcomes, but it will not take care of fairness of outcomes. A lot of people will argue that while it has brought electricity to millions of people, the outcome has been good for the nation. It has not been fair. While the outcome is good, it is not fair. Do you see that outcomes can be good, but they cannot be fair? Outcomes can be good, but they cannot be fair. They cannot be just. You will not say outcomes are not good. Successful project has been completed. Delhi is having electricity. A good outcome is there, and yet it is not fair. So therefore, it is not concerned. This approach is not concerned with the fairness of outcomes. Then other challenges with this approach is, all these things will be a consequence. We have done it in moral. So all these points aa jayenge isme bhi. Moral. See, it also has another challenge that horrible things are done in the name of consequences. Horrible things are done in the name of good outcomes. Horrible things in the name of good outcomes. All of Hitler's concentration camps, किस लिए बोला गया था? Hitler's concentration camp, ये थोड़ी था कि we will do this and whole world will be in ruin and yeah. वो नहीं था. It was that, yes, it will be for the greater good of the German people. Hitler's concentration camps, justified. Why? It is good for the German people. किसके लिए कर रहे हैं हम? German people के लिए कर रहे हैं. Human drug trials. Human drug trials happening on humans or even in animals, right? All examples, anything that is any horrible practice, they'll always be justified in the name of that, है ना? नहीं जाएंगे उस डिबेट में अभी, क्लास के बाद पता ना. अभी इसको खत्म करेंगे पहले, उसके बाद आंसर करूंगा. ऑल राइट. ह्यूमन ड्रग, drug trials. All these things will happen. Then, see, a consequentialist approach also has, it will ignore well-established moral principles. Ignore well-established it ignores well-established moral principles in the name of, it even ignores well-established moral principles in the name of outcomes. है ना? Example of well-established practice. Any example of wherever there is a moral violation or moral transgression. Take the example of concentration camps itself. That no people should be sent to death like that. All right, no people should be sent to death like that. And that is an established moral principle. There is no dilemma. Is there any dilemma that should people be sent to gas chambers? There is no dilemma. Nobody should be, not even one who is accused of a crime. Forget the innocent. This is a well-established principle that you must respect others' life. Respect for human life is a well-established practice. But what is going to happen? In a consequentialist approach, this will be forgotten. While it is ignored in a consequentialist approach, you will say that this human life, while it is sanctity, it has its own sanctity. Outcomes of which are in which will help the wider community or wider society, they are more important. ठीक है? Is this clear? कह सकते हो, डाल सकते हो. Infinite examples you can put. ठीक है? So all these challenges will be there. It will lead to clear violation of human rights. All human rights violations will happen in this name. China violating human rights of Uyghur Muslims, right? Several examples. Anywhere human rights violation. The country which is indulging in those violations is doing it not for the ill of the people, but it is doing it for the maximum happiness for the nation. It is done in the name of better outcomes for national security. Human rights violations will be done. Minority rights suppression will be done in the name of better consequences. Yes, so I will teach you both the deontological approach and teleological approach. Then in assignment you will get that question. But you will have to apply these ideas and your arguments. See, make sure that while studying everything will look easy. That is the nature of subject, and that is, at least I'm expecting that you are finding it easy. But humanities as a subject, and ethics in particular, given the cross-disciplinary nature of the subject, you will find it a lot easy while studying. But when it comes to write an answer, you will have to draw the points from here. And then it will not be easy. है ना? So while studying, it will all look easy कि ये तो खुद से भी हो जाएगा, घर में पढ़ लेंगे, सारे ideas आएंगे. Answer लिखने का time आएगा तो दिक्कत होगी. So what is expected is you have to internalize it 3 to 5 times at least. 3 to 5 times if you read it, then you will immediately be able to write an answer is that what is more important, means or ends. You will be able to draw a answer from here. All right?